Abdul Razak, I'll come to you now. In your experience, how can you provide support in the classroom to enhance teaching of communication skills?
Okay, thank you so much. It is interesting that in this hall we have many educators, and then we have had experts speak from array of profession. We have a pediatrician, and we have a couple of others. I want to take communication from the perspective of a spectrum. So when I say communication from the perspective of spectrum, it means communication is up and it has different layers. From the early childhood perspective, which is basically from 0 to 8, you want to look at the child. Now, with experience, one of the things I've come to understand is that we need to understand that the fourth environment of the child is the womb. Then communication with the child started from the womb. That is why every time you go to the hospital, the doctor is going to do an ultrasound. They are communicating. But interestingly, many parents will come to me and say, Afiz, my child is not talking at the age of 1, and you ask them, what should he say? There is a misconception. They don't appreciate the fourth aspect of communication, which is nonverbal. Most times, we need to understand that children also have a way they communicate with cry, because that is the fourth way they communicate. There is pain cry, there is angry cry, and there is frustration cry. Why do I have to say this? Because many of you are working with the children. And sometimes when they are communicating, instead of you to understand, you are becoming frustrated. Then this is the challenge, and you are their teacher. So that is quite imperative for you to understand from the perspective of the child. Note one thing, that the child is trying to communicate, you need to understand needless frustration from your own perspective, number one. Number two, let us look from the perspective of the mother. And then you need to understand that as parents, sometimes we concentrate on what we want to see, not what the milestones require. Take for example, a parent will reach out to me, my child is not talking, this and that. It's fine. But communication goes beyond talking, right? And so if you don't appreciate other parts of communication, you become frustrated and misdiagnose your children. So we now also have a problem of misdiagnosis from parents without looking at other factors. I have a child at present. She started talking at the age of 2, but stopped talking at the age of 3. When I saw the child, I had a conversation with the mother who was frustrated. Then I sought her indulgence and said, please, can I meet the father? So I said, were there any people that lived the life of this child at a critical time? The father said, I will be honest with you. So this girl had 2 people, a nanny and a driver. She talked to them very often. Interestingly, both of them left their house at the same time. Then the father went ahead to go and buy a gadget for that child. So that child has moved from being a social person to a solitary learner. She has missed 2 people who contribute critically to her development and communication to a gadget that she is just the only one. So they are not seeing that how they must have played a role, but now they are agitated. But gradually, the child is making effort. So sometimes your child might not even have a disability or a communication problem, but situation might warrant that the children would now have to undergo some level of disorders. That is from the aspect of mother. Then from the aspect of what my dear friend mentioned, pedagogy. Many of us, if I ask you that as teachers, what pedagogy do you use? You will say we use, many of people sometimes don't even know pedagogy. Then they will say we are a Montessori school. Some people will say we are using the British curriculum. We are using American curriculum. There is nothing like American curriculum. I am studying and working in America. Then I live in Michigan. iScope curriculum originated from Michigan. However, the most common curriculum in Michigan today is creative curriculum, not even iScope curriculum. So America, if you want to talk about American curriculum, you might be talking about Head Start, or you want to talk about early Head Start. And they are basically intervention pedagogies. So you as a teacher, you need to clearly understand what pedagogy is going to enhance communication. Honestly, I appreciate a pedagogy called the project approach. The project approach is just basically when you're working with a child on the spectrum, you just have a project for a term. And you are going to internalize other perspectives, maybe mathematics, social studies, this and that, from that project that you are going to do for the whole time. So you as a teacher, from the perspective of pedagogy, like they have mentioned, understand new trends in new pedagogy, in new curricular approach that could enhance communication.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you so much. That was